What's up, everyone? I'm Justin.
And I'm Nick.
And we're Fantasy Football in the Zone. And if you have any questions about your team, tweet us at FfInTheZone and we'll answer you quickly.
Right away.
In this video, we will be discussing me and Nick's starts and sits for Week 1. But before we get to that, the Seahawks defeated the Green Bay Packers by 20 points with a final score of 36-16. And this team is dangerous. They destroyed the Broncos in the Super Bowl, the best offense. Now they beat the Packers.
Pretty good offense, too. They have a good team all around. They also held Aaron Rodgers and Eddie Lacy.
Let's get to the running backs. A lot of people were saying Marshawn Lynch is going to lose a lot of carries. Robert Turbin will increase, but not this game, not yesterday. Yeah. Marshawn Lynch had 110 yards for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he was unstoppable. 25 points in standard scoring.
Now, how about the Packers run game?
The Packers run game was not at all pretty last night. Eddie Lacy only came up with 5 points, but you shouldn't be worried about him. I think it was just a tough matchup.
Starks had more rushing yards. Yeah. He had 37 yards. But Kuhn got the first touchdown of the season. If say Lacy got that on the 2,
that's 11
he would have had a much better day. Kuhn had the best. He vultured his touchdown. But moving to the quarterbacks, Russell Wilson had a great day, but Rodgers, you expect your elite quarterback to get more, but it's just a matchup, he had no protection on his line. Rookie center and one of the best linemen, Brian Bulaga, left that game due to an injury, but he should be okay. He should only be out a game or not even. It's not confirmed yet, but he should be okay. That's good news. Now, moving to the wide receivers, Percy Harvin had 59 yards, and he might not have had a great day if you're in a standard league, but PPR, he caught a lot of catches. And I'm happy if I'm a Percy Harvin owner because they try to get him the ball every way possible. End-arounds, screens. However they got him the ball, they got him the ball. And Randall Cobb also caught a lot of passes.
Yeah, I'm happy owning them both. They're both pretty good receivers, especially in PPR. And Percy Harvin also got a touchdown stolen, just like Eddie Lacy.
Zach Miller, he had a great one-hand catch, but I still don't see much fantasy value. This guy's a great blocker, great
no
value, but I don't think he really has fantasy value. Now let's move on to our start and sits, and who are you starting this week?
I'll start things off with starting quarterbacks, and I want to start by saying I love Nick Foles this week. Great matchup against Jacksonville. As everyone knows, Jacksonville has a pretty bad defense, and Nick Foles is a very good quarterback, and he's going to light up the board with Macklin and some of his other receivers.
Second start?
My second start is Tony Romo. First, I want to start by saying there's going to be a lot of fantasy points in this game. Tony Romo loves to throw no matter who he has at running back, even if it's a strong number 1 running back like DeMarco Murray. He's going to get the ball to Dez and Witten. I love all of the receivers and running backs.
I agree with you. And also, the 49ers defense is not as good as they were last year. They got a lot of stuff that went wrong for them in this offseason. I agree with you. I love Romo. Now, my starts. I love Colin Kaepernick this week against Dallas. Dallas' defense was awful. I think that's it to say last year. And their defense only got worse. They lost Ware. They lost Hatcher. So they lost a lot of guys and really didn't improve much. But I like Kaepernick. Maybe he could run one in, but I really expect him to have a huge day in the pass game. My next start is Jay Cutler. It's a good matchup, but he's just got so many weapons. Jeffrey, Marshall, Forte, Bennett, so many weapons. You really can't cover all these guys.
Yeah.
And Marshall even said that he thinks Cutler can even win the MVP this year, and that's good to hear.
That's great to hear from
for a fantasy owner owning Cutler. I like the matchup, and I say if you don't have a top quarterback, and maybe if Cam Newton just started and you have Cutler, I start Cutler over Cam this week because Cam, like you said, he's well, you're about to say, but I don't like Cam this week, and like you're about to get to, I like Cutler a little more than Cam, and I think he's a low-end one.
And one more thing, which I highly doubt this, but if Cutler's on your waiver wire, pick him up. I love him. He's a low-end one.
And I definitely think he could come into that mid-tier status.
Yeah, I love him this year a lot because of his weapons.
Sits?
Yeah, 6 QBs. I'm going to start by saying Cam Newton. Like you already said, he's going to be a game day decision, questionable because of his ribs. That's another reason why I don't like him. And he also has a tough matchup with the Buccaneers. He doesn't have any receivers that caught a pass from him except Greg Olsen. They lost a lot, and overall, I don't think it's going to be a good day for him.
Next sit?
My next sit is Alex Smith. Tennessee's defense isn't no pushover. They don't have good receivers in the passing game. A lot of carries with Lynch. And other than Dwayne Bowe, that's the only guy, and he's suspended for that game. He's not going to be there.
And you said, no really weapons surrounding him. And my sit quarterback's Andy Dalton. I don't like Andy Dalton. He's not due to consistency. I don't like him. Well, I wouldn't want him as my quarterback one, of course, because of his consistency. But I would not start him week 1. I think there's better options. Bengals Ravens, great rivalry. It's usually a defensive battle.
20 points each.
It's really not a lot of scoring in these games. That's why I advise, if you have Dalton, keep him on your bench. And believe it or not, I don't like Rivers. I mean, if you don't have a better option, of course you're starting him. But I'm not big on the matchup. He's going up against the Cardinals, and Pat Pete's going to be covering Keenan Allen, and I think if you have a better option, like maybe Cutler coming back in the equation, Cutler over Rivers this week, and if you have a better option, bench Rivers this week.
Yeah, agreed.
Start running backs, Nick?
Start running backs. I'll start things off with Arian Foster. I love the matchup. They're going up against the Redskins, and I think he's going to have a big day running the ball because they have no quarterback there. It's going to be run, run, run. Then my next start running back is Shane Vereen. The Dolphins don't have the best run defense, and I love Vereen in PPR. Brady loves dump-offs him, and if Gronk can't stay healthy, this guy is going to have an amazing season. Yeah.
And you know how Belichick is on running backs. He's not high and Ridley after those fumbles. They were even thinking about cutting him, and I think Vereen becomes the main guy there. My start running backs are, once again, we're targeting the Cowboys. Start Frank Gore. Start all your Niners. Whoever's playing Cowboys, start them all. I'm not high in the Cowboys defense. Frank Gore, even though they got Carlos Hyde, I like Gore this week. I think he could be a solid 2. I think he could actually be a high end 2 with this matchup. My next start running back is C.J. Spiller. Me and you think he's going to bounce back this season, and he's playing the Bears this week, and maybe he could start it off against the Bears. Great matchup. Last year, their run deep was pretty bad, and maybe he could have a great day.
Yeah, I also like him a little bit better in PPR, but in standards, he's also a good running back.
Sit
running backs, I'm going to start things off with MJD. He's in a new uniform, which is going to be different seeing on the Raiders.
And they got DMC.
Yeah, they also have DMC, and the Jets have an amazing run defense. And also, if MJD couldn't be a good back on the Jags, what makes him think you're going to do good with the Raiders, especially that DMC's there? My second sit guy is Lamar Miller. I'm not very high on him going up against the Patriots, and there's also going to be a committee there with Marino. Thoughts?
I agree with you. My sit running backs, Bishop Sankey. He's getting so much hype, but right now I think he will become the starter. But right now he's not even listed as a starter on these depth charts. And just look at the matchup. Chiefs defense was pretty good. I don't start him on week 1. I would wait to see how much they give him the ball.
Maybe it was a flex option if you don't have another guy.
Bernard Pierce. He's going up against the Bengals. Great run defense, and I think Bernard Pierce really struggles against this game. Now let's move on to our start wide receivers. You want to start it?
Yeah, I'll start things off. I'm going to start things off with Ronnie White. He's probably your number 2, and if you're thinking about benching him, don't. Against the Saints, a division rivalry, there's going to be tons of throwing, a very high-scoring game, which is why I don't really like Steven Jackson. But I do like the Saints running backs, because Sean Payton always gets them involved in the passing game.
And your next start is targeting the Cowboys once again.
Michael Crabtree. Like I said, I think you should start, me and him said, start all your Niners. There's going to be a lot of throwing. And the Cowboys' defense, like I said, they lost Ware. Their defense got hurt. And they're not going to be able to defend Kaepernick in the passing game.
My start wide receivers are Andre Johnson and Victor Cruz. I like Andre Johnson. I think he's going to be getting a lot of targets this week against the Redskins' defense. Redskins' defense been struggling as of late. And Andre Johnson, they really don't have a reliable quarterback, so he's going to be targeting to their best wide receiver, Andre Johnson. Like the matchup, and I like Andre Johnson. I think he could have a big game, even though their quarterback is struggling. That's why I think he's a wide receiver 2, but he definitely has potential to be a wide receiver 1 if he had a great quarterback. And they did sign Ryan Mallett. We'll see if he becomes a starter another week. And I really like Victor Cruz. He's going up against the Lions. Kind of like the matchup, and it's going to be a passing battle. I think it could become a shootout. Sit wide receivers, I'll start this time. I don't like Torrey Smith or Sammy Watkins. I think Sammy Watkins is getting too much hype. I think he could be a great player, but not his rookie
But right
year.
now, on number 3
I don't like the
receiver.
quarterback, DJ Manuel. I would even have him as a 4, maybe a 5, because right now
Yeah.
his quarterback's been struggling. Couldn't get him the ball in the preseason much, and he's already been off the field a little bit on this preseason. And I can't trust his rookie.
Let me go to my wide receivers. I only have one, and that's Mike Wallace, and I don't really like him going up against Revis. And last year he did not have a very good season. I would wait and see what he does. And my next guy, he's in a sit. He's a beware, more of a heads up. He's going to be going up against Pat Pete, Keenan Allen, and I just don't really like the matchup because they have a good secondary. But start him as a 2.
My start tight ends are Zach Ertz versus Jacksonville. I think since they lost to Sean Jackson, I think Ertz is going to be Foles' red zone target. That's why I like him. And Dennis Pitta, I'm really trying to stay away from the Bengals defense, but I like Pitta this week. I think he could catch a touchdown, and I think he can move the chain since Flacco really doesn't have too much weapons on that team.
Yeah. My star tight ends are Kyle Rudolph. I like him against the Rams defense, and he's one of the main weapons there in Minnesota. My next star tight end is Greg Olsen. Even though I don't really like the matchup there, he's one of Cam Newton's most known targets on the team, and Cam Newton's going to throw to him because he doesn't really have anyone else there.
And here's a stat. Cam Newton doesn't have one wide receiver who caught the ball last year on this team now. They lost Steve Smith. They lost Ted Ginn. So the tight end is the only guy who has some experience with Cam Newton.
Move on to
my sit tight ends. I don't like Eric Ebron. I'm not big on these rookies, and I think there's better options at tight end, and I don't like Delaney Walker versus the Chiefs. Good linebackers, and I want to see what Jake Locker could do this year.
Yeah, agreed. My 2 sit tight ends are Tyler Eifert. I don't really like him this week at all due to the matchup. And my other guy that's a sit tight end is Antonio Gates. I think he's done. I think Green's going to be able to steal the job. And even if he does start, the Cardinals have a tough secondary, like I said, with Keenan.
And we're just going to do a sleeper defense. My sleeper defense is the Vikings. If you had the Seahawks, you're not going to start one of these teams. But if you're a guy who picks a defense up off the waiver wire every week, this is what this is for. I would pick up the Vikings defense. They're going up the Rams and versing the Rams. And the Rams lost Sam Bradford. They got Sean Hill, and that's why I took them. But I don't think the Rams could do much against them.
And lastly, to wrap things up with the stardom sit-em, my sleeper defense is the Eagles. They're going up against Jacksonville, and I think that's really all you need to say. Jacksonville really can't get their offense going.
And that should do it here. Thank you for watching. Please drop a like, leave a comment, ask us some questions at FfInTheZone, and thank you for watching, everyone.
Subscribe, please. Thank you.